Throughout the years, there's been a lot of rumors going around about whether or not Microsoft's buying this studio, whether or not Microsoft's buying this publisher. But now it looks like we finally got, not necessarily a rumor, but there's a lot of speculation going on out there that not Microsoft, but Sony might actually be looking at a big publisher purchase. Now, for those of you that know, you know that I've always stated that Sony needs to answer to the Bethesda purchase, but that was just my opinion. But, I do want to talk about this publisher that Sony might be looking into buying. But before we get on to the video, definitely hit that like button if you guys enjoyed the video. You can always subscribe to the channel for weekly content, and don't forget to go over on Twitter, follow me at Lord Addict ILP. Without any further ado, let's talk about this company Sony might be buying. What's going on, you guys? Gaming Addict here, coming at you for another video. As you can see today, we're going to be talking about Sony. There has been so many videos I've made in the past talking about whether or not Microsoft's buying this studio, whether or not Microsoft might be in that studio. So it's nice change that we're talking about Sony this time. It looks like that there's light rumors. There's not anything really, concrete. There's no big insiders saying this. There's nothing even really validated a video like this. But when I saw this rolling around Twitter and I saw people talking about this subject, I thought it was a very interesting thing to make a video about, and that is Sony buying Square Enix? Now, that sounds just as far-fetched as Microsoft buying Bethesda or Microsoft buying Sega. But with Microsoft buying Bethesda, I do feel like Sony might want to, buy a couple studios or buy a publisher that they're able to afford and get their first-party titles up a little bit, because it's like I said multiple times, Microsoft might not make the best games, but if you make enough great games, it's going to overshadow the amazing games that Sony has. People will still buy Sony and they'll still play those exclusives over there, but if you have a lot more great games, you'll be able to get people to convert to the Xbox as, their old go-to all for everything, for the Netflixes, for the third parties, for the first parties, for the second parties, and they'll always go back to Sony clearly when they drop that God of War, when they drop that new Spider-Man, the new Horizon Zero Dawn. They'll always go there, but I do feel like if they don't purchase more studios and equal out that number, that Microsoft will overshadow them with content in general. Now, let's entertain this rumor, entertain this speculation that people are throwing out there on Twitter, on YouTube, and let's say that it is right. Is this something that Sony needs? I would say yes, it is. There's a huge demographic of people that have had the PlayStation for years, and they're very upset that, Sony doesn't really dabble into the JRPGs anymore. Sony doesn't really dabble into the Japanese market in general. Sure, do they go out and make sure they have second party to appeal to these gamers that are on their platform? Yes, but they don't build any of these games on their actual platform. A lot of their games are built for the Western market. Now, the bigger question than everything is, if they do buy Square Enix, is that something that's going to benefit them? It's no secret that they have the Final Fantasy VII remake. They have the Final Fantasy 16, and they have that new game that Square Enix is making. So I think it's Project Athena or something. So if we take that into consideration, is it even worth them buying this company? Because let's be real here, besides, the Marvels, which are licensed products, they're already getting all their games exclusive. But I will say, at the end of the day, having these arrangements, these partnerships, these deals with these companies such as Square Enix, it only goes so far. A partnership only goes so far. Sooner or later, that deal is going to end. So it's better to have that studio on your first party title where for a fact that those games are unlocked. Every Final Fantasy unlocked, every Dragon Quest unlocked, anything that they do in the JRPG genre in general is unlocked. And I think that is the better call than just continuously making second party deals with Square Enix. And we have to talk about, the elephant in the room. You have Microsoft buying studios, you have Google buying studios, maybe not as much as they shut down their first party titles, but just because they're not going to buy Square Enix and make them a first party title, Google could easily contract them to making exclusive games. They want to make sure they get that Final Fantasy Remake 2 and Remake 3. They want to make sure they get the next Dragon Quest on their platform. So what is the best way to do that? Is to lock them down so Google and Amazon and Microsoft can't do it first. Now, I don't know if it's even possible for something like this to happen. I believe Square Enix is a publicly traded company, so I'm sure there's a lot more hoops to go through than something like Microsoft buying Bethesda. But it is a potential thing that would happen. I want to point out that, it's like I said, Sony's been getting a lot of games exclusive. Sony has done a lot in terms of the Japanese market, and Square Enix in particular, on their platform, so it would make more of a better sense for Square Enix to sell to someone like that. And it's like I said, man, like they're getting the majority of Square Enix's titles exclusively on PlayStation, and that says a lot of volume right there. You might actually be able to have a valid argument that, you know, because of how much work they've been doing together recently, there's clearly something going on over there. Now, I don't know if it's something as big as buying them. All I'm saying is that they announced on Twitter in the next couple months to a couple years that, yo, Square Enix has been bought by PlayStation. They're part of their first party studios. I wouldn't be surprised one bit. I wouldn't be surprised because it's like I said, there's been a lot of information going out there for the past couple years. There's been a very close relationship with them, and that's not to mention they're both Japanese companies, and I would assume that if Square Enix would sell it to anyone, it would be to Sony. But then again, it's like I said, we do not know how this publicly traded stuff works over there. We don't know exactly how many hoops Sony would have to jump through to purchase a company like Square Enix, and I'm very curious into what happens in the next 6 months to a year, if there is any form of truth to what's going on with Square Enix and Sony. If I were to put any kind of, you know, odds on this subject and what are the, you know, chances of something like this happening, I would say probably 30-70. The only reason I'm going that low is because Square Enix is a publicly traded company, and I feel like if they weren't and they were privately owned, it would have happened a long time ago. But anyway, you know, tell me what you guys think in the comment section below. You think I'm completely off field here? I'm definitely curious to see what the community feels, and you know, tell me down there if that's something you guys would even want. Do you want Sony buying Square Enix? Do you care about their titles enough to really care if it's exclusive to the platform or not? I'm curious to have your guys' comments down there in the comment section below. This is Gaming Addict. I'm out of here. Peace.